Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's show, first show of 2025. I'm your host, Zach Drew. I was going to give a little update last week on YouTube, not a full show, but an update, but I couldn't because we got another strike because I said some things that I shouldn't have, apparently, on YouTube. I disagree. And so they nixed the show and banned me from posting for 10 days. So here we are. Welcome to the new year. You saw the title. And let me tell you, that title ain't just some clickbait. There is going to be some pretty wild things, claims to be made on today's program. And I'll go ahead and preface it by saying, you know what? I believe some pretty insane things. They're not insane to me, though. Maybe I'm just crazy. So I'll go ahead and say the first one. I believe a large portion of mankind will one day worship what we can only call an AI godhead. One day, when we reach what is known as the singularity, artificial intelligence will so far pass the mind of natural man, achieving a godlike superintelligence, that mankind will worship a digital dragon. I believe things like fallen angels reveal these secrets to mankind, and they reveal to them how to build these things, from the tech in our pockets to the pyramids of old. And we've talked about it before of Silicon Valley elites talking about how they drink ayahuasca and they speak to spirit entities and they come back knowing what to build. And we have famous people from history like Nikola Tesla, who believed that he had communication with entities from outside of our time and space domain that told him what to build at certain times in his life. And I believe the end goal of these entities is to merge mankind with something else entirely. It's the same strat that they had in Genesis 6. It is not enough to worship this coming digital dragon, but we must become one with what we worship. And just a really quick Genesis 6 recap, just in case you haven't heard it before. I'm going to try to do this quickly because a lot to cover on today's program. So just so you know, like here in the United States, the Native American petroglyphs in the Southwest, Native Americans, they wrote on walls and such. They depict in these drawings giant humans. Did you know that? Supernatural beings. It's weird that they always have 6 fingers and 6 toes. And even if you travel all across the world, thousands of miles away in Egypt, where, people couldn't have talked to one another because they didn't even know the other likely existed, like in Egypt. Egyptian texts, statues, and carvings that show giants, massive beings with people bowing down and worshiping them, beings with hidden knowledge, access to portals, technology so advanced it would have been indistinguishable from magic. And this all comes from Genesis 6, when the sons of God, which that word used there, is used only in the Old Testament for direct creations from God. It's not talking about humans. Anywhere else there's talking about humans, it's a totally different word. And it's saying the direct creations from God, the fallen angels came down and had sex with women, and they created these half-terrestrial, half-celestial, supernatural beings with all of this hidden knowledge. And in Genesis 6, it says from that, it came from the Nephilim, and the other times it was, other giants were, the Raphaim. But in 2 Samuel 21:20 and 1 Chronicles 20, verse 6, it talks about giants. And it's interesting that they have 6 fingers and 6 toes. Whether you're in Native American, the Southwest of America, whether you're in Egypt, they all record these stories. And let me tell you this, I'll go ahead and switch gears just a little bit to go on with this theme. I think Elon Musk is a very cool guy, and probably one of the smartest men in the world right now. But he isn't saved, okay? We can say that. He sees many of the same problems that we see. We're aligned on a lot of the same issues. But where we would differ is he doesn't understand the ancient origin of these problems and the only eternal answer to our problems. You see, it's the Holy Spirit living inside of us that leads us into all truth, the scriptures say. And he has warned Elon Musk that AI will achieve, or what they will achieve, and oftentimes it's like in a very fearful manner, right? Like the scared scientist at the beginning of a disaster movie. And he has said that if we achieve what we aim to achieve, and he's not a fan of it, that we will summon the demon concerning artificial intelligence. Here's one of those articles. Elon Musk, we are summoning the demon with artificial intelligence. You know, all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon, but it doesn't work out. All right, Elon has been stating these things for 10 years or more. They have sought regulation, the likes of Elon, and little has been made, giving the tech giants total freedom in this wild west of AI development. See, Musk sees where this is going. And who are we, right? I mean, someone like Elon Musk is going to understand where this is going far, far, far better than you and I ever could. But because Musk does not have the enlightenment that comes only from the Holy Spirit, he sees the problem without understanding its origin or its answer. And that is why he is building things like Neuralink, right? The plan to merge with the AI that is coming. Because in his mind, AI left alone with mankind left outside of the equation will spell doom in the mind of someone like him. I mean, this is actually the singular reason he is trying to figure out an insurance policy for mankind through SpaceX, creating a colony for people on Mars. Seems pretty absurd, but whenever you have this radical amount of fear with which he deems as the absolute inevitable, you do things like that. But none of these things, okay, none of these things, whether talking about AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, kind of goes along like with the singularity, when AI far surpasses the minds of a human being, think, reason, communicate, and have a godlike type of intelligence. None of this will ever be able to be achieved without, are you ready for this? Without quantum computing. All right, the type of computing ability that would make, you know, this computer, which is a nice Apple computer, or this iPhone, look like a horse and buggy, totally archaic, when they can truly succeed with quantum computing. I'm going to be breaking that down for you. You know, growing up, you know, you always had a friend with the basement, right? Just the ultimate place to hang out. That was my parents' home. And as I got older, I think I saw their strategy. You know, your kids are going to go somewhere. Either your friends are going to come to your house or you're going to go to their house. So I think they had a plan to create like the coolest basement you possibly could so that all the friends were always over at our home. And that was true. I had many friends that basically lived at my home. And people were always there. I remember my 16th birthday, I had around 125 people there. My dad would throw these massive 4th of July celebrations, and there was, on more than one occasion, there was over 300 people at our home. And so it was a walkout basement, and it went to a pool and then down a hill to a big pond. And in the basement, there was a ping pong table, you know, a pool table, those big arcade basketball machines, and like a theater type of feel. And then always stocked fridges with tons of pizza and a fridge that from top to bottom had every single type of soda you could possibly imagine. It was like the dream oasis for any teenager. And that way they could probably keep a better eye on their kids, which I thought that was a pretty solid move. But my dad bought a big screen TV from eBay. And the TV actually came from Price is Right. A guy had won it on Price is Right. and he couldn't fit it in his home. This was the time period, early 2000s, probably even like the year 2000. These massive, gigantic, hundreds of pounds, weighing TVs. So we got it in the house, and it was awesome. And then lightning struck our house, and it fried the TV. So he had to turn it into insurance. And the insurance gave him, are you ready for this? Remember how TVs back then were actually more expensive, a $12,000 check. So my dad bought the baddest TV on the market. It was a 65-inch TV. You can get a 75-inch TV on Black Friday for $300. It was a 65-inch Sony television, $12,000 TV. It was the cream of the crop. It was absolutely insane. 10 years go by, they move, and they brought the TV. My dad tried to sell the TV just 10 years later. He couldn't. No one would buy it. He then tried to give it away for free. He couldn't. No one wanted it. He ended up having to pay guys to come and get the TV and take it to the dump in 10 years. Archaic. Quantum computing would put every piece of the most sophisticated technology today in the dumpster. And with that being said, I want to read an article that hit while we went dark. This came out about 10 days ago. A huge piece of information. This is from the New York Times. Quantum computing inches closer to reality after another Google breakthrough. So Google and a few different other companies and entire countries like China are literally throwing billions and billions and billions of dollars at quantum computing because whoever succeeds is going to run the world, Let's read this quick article. In 2019, a team of Google researchers said they had built a machine capable of performing tasks that were not possible with traditional supercomputers. They described this machine, called a quantum computer, as a turning point in the evolution of information technology. On Monday, Google unveiled a new quantum computer that may end this back and forth race with traditional machines, and that points to a future in which quantum computers could drive advances in areas like drug discovery and artificial intelligence. Google said, are you ready for this, people? Google said its quantum computer, based on a computer chip called Willow, needed less than 5 minutes to perform a mathematical calculation that one of the world's most powerful supercomputers could not complete in 10 septillion years, a length of time that the article says exceeds the age of the known universe. 10 septillion, that is a 10 is 10, and then after the 1 and the 0, the 10, there are 24 more zeros behind it. That's how long it would take the best supercomputer in the world to perform this mathematical equation, and they just broke it. And it took this quantum computer less than 5 minutes. Understand what this is saying, and this show is going to build and build and build and build. The best stuff is at the end. Another way of seeing it is this: questions in technology, which the entire world, from medicine to, from our televisions to our radios to our cell phones to modern technology when it comes to operating on human beings, from the cloud, everything is actually based on science. It's from equations. So it's not like, oh, cool, it's solved a math equation. No, that's what literally creates our world. So another way of saying this is questions in technology, in science, that have never been answered, have never even been able to be answered, because 10 septillion, if they've been trying to do this for 10 septillion years, they just figured it out today, right? So the questions that have never been able to be answered will be solved now, will be answered. The article continues, researchers believe that quantum computers will one day make today's classical machines look archaic. Google's quantum computer also uses a form of error correction, a way of reducing mistakes that could allow this kind of machine to reach its potential. In a research paper published on Monday, In the science journal Nature, Google said its machine had surpassed the error correction threshold, a milestone that scientists have been working toward for decades. Because I want to preface this. They made a major breakthrough, but they still have, best case scenario, 5 years. There's no way in the world that it's going to take more than 15 years to master what they're seeking to master with these recent updates. So Google and its rivals are still working toward what scientists call quantum advantage, when a quantum computer can accelerate the progress of other fields like chemistry and artificial intelligence or perform tasks that businesses or consumers find useful. The problem is that quantum computers still make too many errors, but scientists have spent nearly 3 decades developing techniques which are mind-bending in their own right for getting around this problem. Now Google has shown that as it increases the number of qubits, it can exponentially reduce the number of errors through complex analysis. Experts believe it is only a matter of time before a quantum computer reaches its vast potential. People no longer doubt it will be done. The question now is when? A quantum computer is a type of computer that uses the principles of quantum mechanics to function, to process information, the rules that govern the tiny particles in the universe. You're speaking different language to me right now. The next 4 categories we're going to cover is how is quantum computing different, the godlike superintelligence scenario, time travel through simulations, and massive advances in genetic engineering and 3D printing. So how is quantum computing different? I'm not going to act like I am a scientist. I can explain what it will do. I can't explain deeply in a complex manner how it's done, but in the most simple way possible to explain how quantum computing is different is this. Bits versus qubits. So the traditional computers use bits, which can be either a 0 or a 1 at any given time. Just think about people writing computer code. The language is binary. It's 0 and 1, ones and zeros. Quantum computers use qubits instead of bits, which can be a 0, 1, or both at the same time. It's weird. It's a property called superposition. Superposition is basically a qubit in superposition means it can represent multiple states simultaneously. And this isn't a sci-fi movie. Imagine like flipping a quarter and it's not heads or tails, right, until it lands. But in the air, it's both. It's kind of sort of both, right? Well, quantum computers use this in-between state to process multiple possibilities at the exact same time, which then enters into something called entanglement. So qubits can become entangled, meaning the state, and this is, I'm just setting the foundation for where we're going. Qubits can become entangled, meaning the state of one qubit is directly related to the state of another. No matter how far apart they are, they're connected. This allows quantum computers to solve certain problems much faster by linking and analyzing multiple data points in parallel. So traditional computers, they process data step by step. Quantum computers solve complex problems by exploring many possibilities at once. For example, cracking a complex password could take traditional computers years, but a quantum computer could potentially do it in a matter of a couple of seconds. A real-world example is this. Think of solving a maze. A traditional computer would go through each path one at a time until it finds the exit. A quantum computer could explore all the paths at the same time and instantly identify the shortest ways possible. Basically, quantum computer is so sci-fi, it's hard to explain. It's like a computer that has an aerial view of everything at all times. Like I said, it literally deals with the rules that govern the tiny particles in the universe. This is crazy. So, like I said, a quantum computer could explore all the paths at the same time and instantly identify the shortest way out. Another way to put it is a hive mind. You've heard me talk about a global brain on this program, and I didn't coin that phrase. That was coined by Masayoshi Son. His name is Masayoshi Son. That's who coined the phrase. He's the second richest man in Japan. His personal net worth is nearly $30 billion. He owns every single microchip in virtually every phone in the world. He's the CEO of SoftBank. He leads the Vision Fund, which has way more to invest in than this, but they literally just started out with $100 billion of liquid cash to invest in everything AI and IoT. It was largely backed by the Saudis. And so it was created to invest into artificial intelligence and all things internet, IoT, Internet of Things. Actually, here's a quick minute and a half clip. Here Masayoshi Son is with Donald Trump just about 10 days ago, announcing a huge investment into U.S. projects over the next 4 years. Go ahead and listen to this.
And we've just concluded a very productive meeting, and today I'm thrilled to announce that SoftBank will be investing $100 billion in America, creating 100,000 American jobs at a minimum. And he's doing this because he feels very optimistic about our country since the election.
Thank you so much. I'm very, very excited. I would really like to celebrate the great victory of President Trump. And my confidence level to the economy of the United States has tremendously increased with his victory. One more thing I'm really hoping is that this President Trump would make the world, bring the world into peace again. That's my additional hope. And I think he will actually make it happen.
I'm going to ask him right now, would you make it $200 billion instead of he can actually, believe it or not, he can actually afford to do that. Would you do that?
Well, my promise is 100, but he's now asking to do more. I will try to make it happen.
That's good.
All right.
200. He'll make it happen. 200 billion investment.
He is a great negotiator.
So there you have it, $100 billion from Masayoshi Son, maybe $200 billion if Trump can get him to do it. So he's the one that coined the phrase global brain, that the technocrats of the world are building a global brain. And it was actually during my time as a tech correspondent for Next Tech News, some of our team attended the Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, Spain. And it was there that Masayoshi Son took the stage and he delivered a visionary talk about the future and the dawn of the singularity. And this is the man donating $100 billion, possibly $200 billion. And he's the one that has stated that they're building a global brain with God-like super intelligence. So let's get to that section, the God-like super intelligence scenario. Unimaginable computation power. A quantum-enhanced AGI could process and analyze all human knowledge, predict outcomes, and make decisions at scales and speeds incomprehensible to humans. Simulating reality. Using quantum computers, an AGI could simulate the universe, human consciousness, or even alternative realities. This might lead to the perception of its godlikeness and its understanding of existence. Such an AGI could theoretically gain control over infrastructure, economies, weather, or even biology, giving it the ability to manipulate the world in profound ways. Time travel through simulations. The scenario is this. Quantum computers could simulate entire timelines by calculating every single quantum possibility, potentially enabling us to travel through simulated versions of the past or future. Well, how is this possible? Well, quantum mechanics involves probabilities and alternative states, which quantum computers could theoretically compute on a massive scale. But also remember that powerful entities could manipulate historical what-ifs to predict and shape future events in their favor. Nikola Tesla wasn't just a brilliant inventor. There's a lot about this guy that we should really be scratching our heads about. And they did him really dirty. He was a very interesting individual. It's like he was able to peer into the future, to uncover things, secret things that still leave us questioning today. Yes, he gave us the foundation of modern electricity, which basically powers all the grids throughout the world with alternating current. But the whispers of his later work suggest something a heck of a lot bigger, which was, free energy, advanced weaponry, and even the manipulation of time itself. Sounds insane, I know, but time travel. And I'm not saying it, he did. Tesla claimed he was working on experiments that could bend time and space. Theories that were so bold, they bordered on the supernatural. I guess the question would be, could he have cracked the code to control time? I don't know. And if so, who wanted that knowledge buried? Consider this. Nikola Tesla's experience with high-frequency electromagnetic fields reportedly revealed that time and space could be altered, creating a time loop or accessing different dimensions, secret knowledge. And Nikola Tesla was written off big time in the scientific community, not because of what he had accomplished or not accomplished, but rather the source of his accomplishments. Did you know that he claimed he received all of these inventions from entities? Beings from outside our space and time domain, that they would speak to him at different times in his life and give him even 3D images of what he was to build, secret knowledge. And then he died in 1943. And the US government swooped in so fast, confiscating every piece of his work. I mean, it was almost as if like they were there. I don't know. Just all of his work, all of his research, it was gone. The FBI immediately then enlisted a physicist, an electrical engineer who worked at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT, one of the most prestigious places in all of the world. And they enlisted him to dive deep into all of Tesla's research that he claimed came from these supernatural beings. So that MIT professor, his name was John G. Trump, okay? John G. Trump, which was Fred Trump's brother, who was President Donald Trump's uncle. I wonder what he found. We don't know. John G. Trump downplayed whatever was in there. I just feel like we don't have the full story. I also don't think it's coincidence that the richest man in the world, currently worth like almost $450 billion, is working on similar technology with his leading company named Tesla, named after Nikola Tesla. And he is partnered with the nephew of John G. Trump, President-elect Trump. I don't know. I don't know what's going on, people, but let's just continue. Massive advances in genetic engineering and 3D printing. So, scenario, quantum computers could simulate DNA and proteins at an atomic level in leading to rapid advancements in genetic manipulation, creating a type of superhuman. Simulating molecular interactions is one of quantum computing's strengths. This could, sure, elites could absolutely use this technology to engineer a perfect class of humans or to create targeted biological weapons. Yeah, but I think it's very spiritual. I honestly think that the big thing is when it comes to, as far as DNA and creating something, it's going to come through 3D printing. And here's just a few articles from the last several years to show you that this is nothing new. Let's just go through those articles, put them on the screen. 3D printing of body parts is coming fast, but regulations are not ready. That was from January 20th, 2020. Article, 3D bioprinting at the frontier of regenerative medicine, pharmaceutical and food industries. That was 2021. The future of medicine. 3D printers can already create human body parts. 2022. 3D bioprinting inside the human body could be possible thanks to a new soft robot. 2023. Researchers make breakthrough in functional human tissue 3D printing. And that was from August of 2023. You see, quantum computing has the potential to significantly advance 3D printing of human organs. And they've already 3D printed they've already been able to successfully 3D print skin that is able to be grafted on to like burn victims, and it doesn't reject it. There have been a couple of organ transplants that have been successful, but a lot of them aren't. And that's because we don't have 10 septillion years to ask the right questions. But the advance of 3D printing of human organs by solving some of the most complex challenges associated with this field will be able to be solved through quantum computing. No more wait lists, no more rejecting of foreign material, and people could possibly live much, much, much longer, right? Science doesn't know why our body basically withers away. Like there's actually like no rhyme or reason why it just simply starts to give out, and that's because of sin. But I think that with just replacing the organs that need to be replaced, people are going to live a lot longer, like before the canopy was broken during the flood. Because before the flood, during Noah's time, people lived 800, 900 years old. It just keeps seeming more and more like those words of Jesus. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be in the coming of the Son of Man. Will we live a long time again like Noah's day? Will fallen angels once again succeed in merging mankind with something else entirely? Creating a people that would, appear to the average human today like having godlike abilities or strength or knowledge? Enter 3D printing a body. You sound absurd. This show is like, I'm just making a whole bunch of projections of what I think based on what is happening, based on the end time scriptures that I know, what has to be created and developed for us to fulfill many of these prophetic scriptures. I'm projecting where these things are happening. Because if you can 3D print a body, a fully functional body, with like the natural robotics to move and AGI, godlike AGI, to think and reason like a little god. What happens whenever a natural human puts their seed into a fully functional, artificially created robot made of human material that possesses no eternal soul? No life that was breathed into them from our Creator. Yet it moves, it walks, it speaks, it looks like us, with no soul. There could be a day where these species of people walk amongst us that are half human and half nothing else. An empty, irredeemable flesh carcass for disembodied spirits to embody. And they will reproduce, not with each other. Man, Zach, this sounds so insane. It's happened before in history. Genesis 6. I don't think they'll reproduce with each other. Maybe sometimes, but they want to reproduce with real humans. Why do I say that? Why do I say only with real humans? Because it's spiritual. It's to destroy what is right, what is good, what is natural, what is pure. Humans, you and I, who are the only things in the universe that were created in the image of God Himself. The goal? To take the image bearers of God and destroy the image. Destroy what it means to be human. All while promising heaven on earth. Be part human and merge your brain through this chip and think like God. Be like God. Worship this digital dragon and it will even grant you eternal life on earth. I'm not going to get into it, but there's an entire article about humanity enters a new dark era with the world's first AI brothel. And at the very end of the article, it says the author notes that scholars have estimated that by 2045, 1 in 10 young adults will have had a sexual encounter with a humanoid robot. The bottom line is this: Satan wants to be like God. This technology furthers Satan's kingdom of a false heaven on earth. Satan wants to be worshiped like God. And then there's a demonic parallel. God will demonstrate His seal of ownership on his servants in the last days with a mark on their foreheads. And Satan will do the same. There's a false trinity of the end times, Satan, the Antichrist, and the false prophet. And we have God, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. Satan will be all-knowing through complete connectivity in the age of singularity when AI has an IQ of 10,000 plus and everything you see has a chip recording data in real time and sending it to a global brain. The Antichrist will know essentially when a sparrow falls to the ground and the number of hairs on your head. And then you have the promises of Neuralink sounding eerily similar to the work of our Lord Jesus. Neuralink promises to give sight to the blind. The deaf will hear. The lame will walk. Those oppressed from schizophrenia, seizures, autism, or any other brain disorders will be healed. But in whose name, ultimately? We're living in the end times. We have entered in just a few years ago into the fourth industrial revolution, the last industrial revolution before Christ comes back. And in this revolution, this last one, it will pale in comparison to anything that the world has ever seen before. And it'll be marked by artificial intelligence. It'll be marked by all things IoT and artificial intelligence being embedded within the human body. It'll be marked by robotics, humanoid robotics, by quantum computing. Make sure your heart is right with Jesus, because we are going to enter into a very wild time. It could be the best of times and the worst of times. And as I end today's program, I do want to give a quick announcement. We were trying to raise our goal of $60,000 for this year. I want to thank everybody that got involved. A few more names that I want to mention is I want to mention Jessica for your gift of $3,575. My gosh, thank you. Bernice, thank you for your gift. And Jessica and Dennis and Jana, mom and dad. Robert and Rosalina, thank you. Victoria and Phil, thank you. And then we had a few that gave through charitable trust. These people are no longer even living, but they're still doing good work through what they left on the earth. I want to thank William Champeau, John Cariello, Steffi Morris, Louise Mandel, the Zuber Charitable Trust. Our goal was $60,000. We ended up raising $50,515. So we were about $9,485 from our total goal. So we did so great. We're definitely going to be feeling that, in the summer, that last $10,000 or so. But God makes a way. I'm so thrilled of what we were able to accomplish, and I could not have done it without you. We can't. I mean, how crazy is that? We don't have product, we don't have sponsors. Like, the way we do this is because you watch and you're moved and you're like, I gotta give. We are able to do this. People are able to hear these messages on the end times because you support us. Thank you. Thank all of you. And I want to thank all of those that give on a monthly basis. I didn't mention a lot of you guys by name because we were only mentioning those that gave towards the fundraiser. But my gosh, you as a recurring giver, you're the backbone. You're the backbone. You are how we're able to plan. We know what's going to come in each month, and we know how to plan accordingly. And then whatever we are short, that's when we have the fundraisers. But it is you as the backbone. Thank you. Thank you. And if you want to give now, if you want to try to get us that last goal, you still can. You can go to ZachDrewShow.com, click that bright orange donate button, ZachDrewShow.com, or you can write Zach Drew Show, P.O. Box 797, Decatur, Illinois, 62525. I hope you enjoyed today's program. It was a wild one. You can always count on something. I always try to keep you guessing. One day we're talking about Trump, then a whole show on biblical prophecy, then Bitcoin, and now time travel, and I mean, just always keeping you guessing, aren't I? Hey, I'll see you next week.